Hi, my name is Akiva Goldman, and I'm an attorney with Goldman and Associates. And today I want to talk about an aspect of domestic violence of which you may be unaware. You know, a lot of times we will get calls to represent people who are charged with the criminal charge of domestic violence. Sometimes it's called domestic assault, sometimes it's called domestic assault and battery. But the notion is the same. There's someone beating up someone in the household, and now the police are involved. What's interesting about this is it's only about half the time that we get the call from the person who is charged. The other half of the time we're getting the call from the victim, from the person who was slapped, pushed, beat up. That person is calling. Why are they calling? They're calling because they want to engage us to represent the perpetrator. They want to engage us to represent their husband who pushed them, their wife who threw their phone at him, hit him in the eye. They want to do that. And you know why that happens? I'll tell you why. And this goes into something that you may not know. A lot of times people have a knee-jerk reaction of calling 911 whenever there's a problem. So there's something going on at the house, you feel threatened, you call 911. That's great. And the police come out immediately. And they separate the parties. And maybe take one party, put them somewhere else for the night or longer. But what people often don't realize is that once you get the police involved in your life in that way, that's a moving train that you cannot stop. Certainly not easily. A lot of people think, I initiated this case, I should be able to stop it. If I don't want to go forward, it should die on the vine. Well, I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't work that way. You may not realize that in a domestic violence case, it's not you against him. It's the people in the state of Michigan against him. You're just a witness. And guess what? They can do that case without you. And in many cases, they will. They can use the 911 call that you just made where you said all these terrible things were happening to you. They got a recording. They got a 911 operator. And you might say it's hearsay, but it might be admissible hearsay because it might be what they call an excited utterance or some other exception to that rule. So what you need to realize is when you start this, you better be damn sure that you're willing to go through the departure of your spouse, the fact that there will be a no contact order, he won't be able to call you or talk to you. It may impede his ability to continue to work, to continue to support the household. You may realize that the person that you called the police on and you had to cart away, that you needed that person a little bit more than you thought of at the time that you made that call. Now, I'll tell you something else too. It's a little secret between me and you. Even though they don't need you to prosecute that case, the fact of the matter is that if the case goes forward and you don't show up or you don't participate, come the day of trial without a complaining witness, that case is probably going to die on the vine. The prosecutor is not going to care more about your safety than you do. So in most cases where we have an unwilling or just a spouse who's a no-show who will not testify against their spouse about the domestic violence, where somebody's unwilling to come forward after the initial 911 call, in a lot of cases like that, it just gets dismissed. They just don't have what to go forward. Now, does the prosecutor have the ability to ask the judge to issue a material witness warrant to pull you in, to force you to testify? Well, I suppose they could. But I haven't seen in 33 years of practice that they exercise that right very often. Because I'll tell you what happens. They drag that person who doesn't want to be there, they drag him in. He or she comes in. They put him under oath, promise to take an oath, promise to tell the truth, and then they see what happened, and they start telling a story. It's a little bit different than what the police report says. They start telling a story of how they're not exactly sure what happened. Why? Well, maybe they were drinking that night, or they don't recall. Or upon further reflection, they realize they're the ones who started the whole affray. A case like that, ladies and gentlemen, dies very quickly on the vine as it begins to unravel right in front of a prosecutor who spent a lot of time preparing for that trial. Prosecutors don't want to do that. So in most cases, if you're unwilling and you've started it, you might be able to create a scenario where it gets dropped anyway. But it won't be before you spend a lot of money hiring lawyers to defend yourself or your spouse, where you've gone through a lot of aggravation. So my suggestion is, if you want to exert pressure on your husband or wife and you want to get them into counseling, sit them down at a table and talk to them about it and see if you can arrive at that agreement. Don't think that you can use the police as marriage counselors, because guess what? They're not marriage counselors at all. And they don't give a damn about preserving your relationship. That's not what they're there for. They're there to protect the public from assault, from injury, from being harmed. You called them up, they think they're protecting you from being harmed. So the fact that you change your mind later on, that may not resonate with them as you might think it will. Now, having said that, it's what I said before, you might be able to finesse it later on. The better practice is to not get involved in that in the first place. If you have any questions about this, or you find yourself on either side of the domestic violence spectrum, give us a call, and of course, we'll be glad to help you out.